I thought I'd do a short video on replacing the DualSense battery with one of the higher capacity soft pouch batteries. Using a soft pouch battery does require a bit of extra care during installation. I just reviewed the battery in this kit and I was pleasantly surprised by its quality. I'll put a link in the description to where I bought it. The kit comes with 2 batteries and the tools needed to open the DualSense controller. You can skip this section if you've opened a DualSense controller before. There are 4 screws you need to remove to open the controller, and they're pretty well hidden. First, this trim piece needs to be removed. The easiest spot to start popping it up are right at the ends of the handles. This little pick that came with the kit works great for it. Once both ends are started, work your way around to pop the trim fully off. Be careful with the 2 small prongs that insert into the top of the case. Pull up and back slightly to release them. That exposes 2 of the screws. The other 2 are hidden under the L1 and R1 trigger buttons. Use the same pick to gently pry up the L1 and R1 buttons. It's a good idea to cover the button with your finger or thumb as you pry. They tend to snap off and can fly quite a distance. The screwdriver from the kit fits perfectly. It's not magnetic though, so it won't hold the screws. If you have a magnet handy, you can magnetize the tip a bit to make removing and installing the screws easier. After removing the screws under the buttons, take out the 2 screws at the ends of the handles. At this point, you'd hope the case would just separate, but it doesn't. If you try pulling the 2 halves apart, you'll see where they connect. Right near the headphone jack and on either side are 2 clips. Apply a little separation force at the handle while you pop these clips loose. That helps them stay unclipped. Let me pause here. This controller has been apart many times. If this is the first time your controller has been opened, it will not open near as easy. Let me point out the internal clip locations so you know what you're dealing with. This is the top of the controller and the internal clips are in these locations. The clips about midway on the sides of the controller are pretty springy. With some pressure, they usually release or sometimes break. You can help them by prying outward on the bottom of the controller case near the clip. If they do break, don't worry. The controller still holds together well without them. This is the bottom cover, and the internal clips are in these locations. The clips at the front of the controller are very rigid and hold the 2 halves tightly. Their edges wear a bit each time you open it, so after 3 or 4 disassemblies, it becomes much easier. Okay, back to opening the controller. What I'm doing here is pulling up on the top with my fingers, while pushing down and forward on the bottom with my thumbs. The goal is to slide the front tabs apart. If you lift straight up on the handles, you'll risk breaking some of the front tabs. Again, the controller will still work fine even if that happens. The handles need to separate far enough for the rumble motors to clear the bottom cover. If it's not sliding enough, check for clearance around the rumble motor area so the top and bottom can pass each other. And it's open. Now we have battery access. Again, on a brand new or never open controller, this takes more effort, but it gets easier each time. The battery lifts right out of the holder. Here I'm using bent nose tweezers to disconnect the battery connector. This old battery is still in good shape, so I don't want to damage anything. If your old battery is completely dead or you're just replacing it anyway, go ahead and pull on the wires to disconnect the plug. Damaging the connector won't hurt the socket on the controller's board, and you'll be replacing the whole battery anyway. Here's the new battery I'm installing. It doesn't have the hard plastic shell like the original Sony one, so some extra precautions are needed. One thing to check, make sure there are no plastic burrs or sharp edges on the battery holder that could rub against the new battery. The new battery fits fully inside the holder. That's good. The original hardshell batteries are held securely in place by this stiff foam piece on the bottom cover. That foam alone is not enough to keep the soft pouch batteries from shifting or moving around inside the holder, and we really don't want the battery moving. Any motion could cause the soft pouch to rub against the edges of the holder, the case, or other components, which risks puncturing or wearing through the thin protective layer over time. Most of the soft pouch batteries I've seen come with an adhesive backing already applied. If yours doesn't have it, add some thin double-sided tape to hold the battery firmly in place. Don't skip this step. It's important for preventing any shifting or movement during use. Here I'm positioning the battery so its sides don't rub against the holder walls. Remember, this controller gets shaken, vibrated, and moved in every direction, sometimes even flung across the room. The thin sides of the battery are the most vulnerable to wear through, so take extra care that nothing touches them. The top, where the wires come out, and the bottom of the soft pouch cell have more protruding plastic material extending from the lithium-ion cell itself, which provides a bit more protection in those areas. Still, always double-check carefully for any sharp plastic edges, burrs, or contact points anywhere in the battery holder or case that could touch any part of the battery. I'm plugging in the connector here after positioning the battery. It's easier to do before the battery is fully seated, since I can't fit my fat fingers in there. I'll use the plastic pick to press the connector fully into its socket. Then fold the wires down and out of the way. You don't want them lying across the top face of the battery. It looks good, centered in the holder, no sharp edges touching it, and ready to reassemble. But wait, before closing it up, make sure the controller power's on. Of course, I've already hit the PS button, so it's good to go. To reassemble, slide the bottom cover evenly over the triggers and into position. Apply a little force and it should snap back together if everything is aligned. Make sure the two exposed tabs near the headphone jack are clipped in. Before you finish putting everything back together, it's a really good idea to test the controller to make sure everything is working properly. At this stage, with the L1 and R1 buttons still off, you won't be able to test those two triggers yet. But go ahead and check the other buttons, the analog sticks, the touchpad, rumble, and anything else you can access. That way, if something's not quite right, you can fix it before installing all the screws and final pieces. Once you're happy, install the screws. I always start with the ones behind the triggers. They can drop into the controller if you're not careful. Not likely, but worth being extra cautious with. A magnetic screwdriver makes this easier. One more caution, don't over-tighten the screws. They're small. Once you feel increased resistance, that's probably tight enough. If the head is flush with the plastic, you're good. The R1 and L1 buttons have a flat slot they fit into. Align the ears on the buttons with the slot and press them into place. Finally, install the trim cover. Push the top protrusions into the top case first, then press down, working all the way to the ends of the handles. And there you go. You now have an extended playtime controller. The battery probably won't last quite as long as the original OEM one in the long run, but now you know how to replace it when needed. Thank you for watching. A like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated.